So what we have today is Patrick Egan. Patrick is with Spark Interactive. Actually, I shouldn't say you're with it. You created and founded it. And I want to give you a second to introduce yourself to our audience. Go ahead.
Right. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Patrick Egan. I've been marketing and branding geek for about the last 30 years or so, and have run marketing for everything from a few small startups, including my own, through a Fortune 100 corporation, what is the third largest software company at the time, and have done it all. What does that mean for you guys? That I've pushed the boundaries of every type of marketing you can think of, and invented a couple, and kind of stuck with video. I think through every chapter of that lifestyle, I found that video is kind of the sweet spot. And I think most people are talking about how marketing now is the future. Video is now the future of marketing. So there we are. And then, the last 10 years I've spent running marketing for Auto Vitals and AutoServe One and Kakui. So here we are. And now I'm running Spark.
That's great. Hey, Patrick, thanks for being here. And the cool thing about Patrick is whenever we see each other at a trade show, we have easy conversations about a great number of things. Our paths have overlapped in many areas of the industry. And one of the things I really appreciate is that what you have to talk about right now is just so spot on, I think, generationally for what we're seeing coming into this industry. The consumption rate of video is not a surprising statistic. Anyone that listens to this topic is like, oh yeah, no, video is everywhere right now. And this is fun. Patrick didn't mention this, but he has an incredible eye. I mean, really, really good. So when we're talking video stuff, the reason I like him being here for this very specifically is when we meet experts that have something to offer on this topic, we like to introduce them to you. And that's why he's awesome. So you're a humble man, Patrick. So I said it for you. Thank you for being here, though. Now, with these webinars, of course, this is Craig Science time with our polls. And I know these are super, super scientific. I don't have the white lab coat yet to go along with this, but I appreciate the poll responses that we receive because I like tracking this stuff mostly for our own edification, and it's fun to share. Does your shop use video regularly? I liked this question, especially since I gave occasionally as an answer for this regularly question. This is pure science, gold. Now, the answer was obvious. I think it's very clear. Most shops are using video, even occasionally, with 90% there. Only 9% of the respondents saying, no, really not using it yet. I even bet inside of that, no, probably a little bit. Does this surprise you at all, Patrick? Fits the trend?
When you say using video, yeah. So everybody's using video in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, anyways, whether it's in your inspection results or doing a lot of Instagram stuff, just sharing what's going on in your shop, the day in the life of. That's fabulous. And not seeing there's a big trend now where people are starting to actually share their story and show what it's like inside the shop. But yeah definitely. Well, I like our next question too, because it goes specifically into our topic as well, because that's the broad video question. But then we have the very narrow focus of this topic today, which is, are you telling your story in video for your clients, especially client consumption on this? And I loved these answers because some people are. It's obviously catching on. Fewer people not, but I love this one too, with 45% of our respondents saying, hey, they're looking to start doing this. I think that's great. I think it's really exciting. And that probably is exactly the type of thing you want to see, and probably what drove you to build Spark Interactive. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, cruising around and visiting shops, I stopped counting at 2,000. So somewhere over 2,000 shops, and a lot of visits. Hearing all these fabulous stories. It occurs to me that you ought to be telling them to your customer, not to me, because let's face it, I'm probably not going to buy anything from you unless I break down at your shop. So people trying to tell their story is where it's at. And I think that people should do more of that because customers want to hear. Yeah. I think I saw some stats that said that 90% of consumers say that they were influenced by a brand's video before they purchase something. And, that's brand overall, but certainly it should be that the same way as well with automotive.
Absolutely. I love how you mentioned that too. It shows a lot of your heart for this industry as well. Visiting that many shops and hearing all those stories, like it is impossible not to love these people that we meet with. And it's not just because we're in this industry. As you get to know the people in it, it's incredible, the people you meet, the best people in the world. Why wouldn't we want to communicate that story better? And this is exactly where we're going with this. Now, as we go through this, I want to refocus just a little bit. Like we use video, and like our earlier poll showed, lots of people are. Moto Visuals, a key partner for us here at Autoflow. Fantastic for educating customers on technical details. This is great. And wow, we see well over 250,000 of these videos attached in DVIs every single month now with Autoflow, well over that. And it's going to probably approach very quickly, even around the 500,000 a month level. Like these things are flying out there now, educating people better than ever before. I love making mention this because it's so impactful. And this is where I have seen shops recognize the impact. And you've seen this in your career too. We've had some overlaps in other vendors that have been using digital inspections and videos for a long time, Patrick.
Oh, absolutely.
You've seen this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Moto Visuals is amazing. And there have been various vendors out there for years doing something like that. But, even, mentioning Auto Vitals back in the day, we did that as well too. My shout out to my creative director, Craig Karpovich. He's the voice on all the Auto Vitals videos out there. But they really help you show exactly what's going on, why there's a reason that something's going to happen to your car if you don't get it fixed. What is coolant all about? What happens if my ball joint fails? And those types of things are very difficult to try and relate to a motorist. But if you're using a impartial third-party visual like Moto Visuals, and they do such a great job of it, showing exactly what the function of a part on your vehicle is and what happens when it fails. It's amazing.
Classic. No, and it's such an easy thing for people to move into. But where we're going next in this conversation, and this is actually a continuation of this conversation. I love Carm. He's had his fingers on this thread for quite a while. For those of you who are not familiar, Remarkable Results Radio, remarkableresults.biz is the website that you can go to. Chris and I, as recently as October 22, and same for Patrick in October 22, two different types of episodes. One is the regular episodes. The other is the Town Hall Academy. And we have some Autoflow clients. Kareem is in there as well on that episode. Fantastic content on this exact topic. So further resources, I would encourage you to check out those conversations. I loved the one we did, Patrick, with Carm, because me and Chris were talking with Tracy and Carm about Tracy's experience with the dentist. She has a wedding coming up very soon, and she wants to have the nice pearly white teeth and everything and all that stuff, teeth all perfect. She's fine, but she doesn't know it, type of a thing. Like, why are you worried about this? But that dentist video that she shared was so good, because you had this customer service rep behind the counter that had shared by text and email a video of exactly how the visit was going to go, what she needed to be prepared for the visit. It was upbeat, it was cheerful, and it just hit all of these points so well that she was amazed. And she was asking the question, what happens if an auto repair shop could do that exact same things? I feel like it just jives so well with what you are doing and trying to encourage shops to do. That's where we want to have this conversation go. And by the way,
Absolutely.
Quick plug for Lucas Underwood and our friends at ASTE. Registration is open for that show. Patrick, are you going to be there?
I'm not actually, unfortunately.
This year, no? Oh, shoot.
No, gonna miss it.
Well, we'll see you at another one. But ASTE, if you can't wait for Vision in March, ASTE is a great one in the fall, and just wonderful content, great networking. It's in North Carolina. The registration link I did put on that page. Some excellent people to talk to, network with, and vendors, of course. Sorry you're going to miss Patrick there, but try to catch up with him at one of the other trade shows as well. Now, with these topics in mind, let's go into this whole concept of leveraging video to tell your story. And I put Chris on this page here, and I love that 90% quote you mentioned as well. Chris is a testimonial on your website of doing exactly this sort of thing. Exactly. Let's start with some of these bullets. How do we use video in these categories?
Sure. Yeah. With appointments, I mean, one thing you just mentioned too is the what to expect. And that's what really kind of sets the flow, if you want to use that term. So it sets the flow of of what you're going to see when you walk in the door. And even before you do that, you begin to build some trust. And that's one of the great things that video does is allows you to build trust with people, especially from a storytelling point of view. I won't get into it too much, but storytelling does some things that other types of video can't do. Most people now kind of tune out the video that when the kind of thing when you show up on a website and it's like, hey, I'm Joe, come on down. I got a coupon, buy 3 tires, get 1 free. And that's just tends to be noise after a while. But when you're telling a story, people kind of lean in, your brain does a bunch of things that really change your reaction to it. So things like when you make an appointment on the web page, and most shops have a nice big appointment button that goes to a form that they fill out. And most shops also have the problem of people filling that form out on Sunday night at midnight and picking tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Yeah. And they show up, my guy made an appointment. Here I am. So this gives you a way to interact with them immediately. As soon as they make that appointment, and it interacts with them right away. It might be one of the service writers or the shop owner saying like, hey, thanks for making an appointment. Fill out that form down below. We're so glad you're going to come. Thanks for trusting us. Fill out as much information as you can, and we'll contact you and follow up. Yeah. And then maybe even more importantly, doing things like you mentioned with like the dentist does, right? As soon as they make that appointment, boom, they get a video that says, hey, thanks for making an appointment. Let me show you what it's like. Let me walk you through the shop and go through the whole process of a shop tour, and the type of things you're going to see when you get there. For a shop, it's important to go on. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I was saying exactly what you're saying. The key point that a lot of people forget is that people do not understand what it's like to do business with us in many cases. And I've seen this before, dropping off vehicles, even for local clients of mine, where the night drop is there. And my wife's like, will you manage that drop off? I don't know what to do with it, or you know what to do with this. And it's like interesting. My wife is telling me this, and she's been raised around me being in a shop. She's helped clean the auto repair shop back in the day when she's always been down there with the kids, and she's no stranger to facilities like this. But even her, she is uneasy with an unfamiliar environment, even of the same type of business that we're so acquainted with. And that's telling. That is something we should definitely be listening to. And I love you did a video like this with Chris's team at Golden Rule.
Oh, yeah.
Where they explain their night drop and their pickup process as well in a video to demonstrate for people what an unloading of anxiety that can be for the customers. Beautiful.
Because a lot of times you got to even point it out to them too, as well. I mean, it may be obvious to you that big box next to the door is where you're supposed to drop your keys.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
I knew what to do with
a lot of shops. Exactly. You open up the door, you fill out. So yeah, if you tell them that, hey, if you come on in after hours, there's a box over there. Fill out the form, throw your keys in it, put it through the slot. We'll call you as soon as we get it. And and a lot of people are doing the key pickups now too. After hours, those are amazing. So
absolutely. But then you're doing with product testimonials and customer testimonials at the same time. Sure. So this is even before the appointment in this context. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mentioned I've been to a lot of shops. I've talked to thousands of shop owners. Probably 5 times that many of their customers, because I always go and listen to their customers as well too. And that's what people like to hear. They, everyone likes to read reviews, right? I mean, you won't buy anything on Amazon unless you read 4 or 5 reviews. But and everyone likes those 5-star reviews on Google. Oops, microphone, stay. But you can't always trust them. And sometimes, your best 5-star review goes something like, hey, I've been coming here for years. You should too. 2 thumbs up. And there's no heart in it. There's no story. Mm-hmm. So people really love seeing other people tell the reviews. And if you see that stuff in video, it's amazing. And it's like, your 5-star reviews on steroids, and you hear things that you may have never known. Yeah. So those are the types of things that people really look for and appreciate when they visit any product website.
I feel like we should be learning this sooner, because haven't we all experienced this buying things like on Amazon and other things too? I just ran into it today. We've got all this smoke from the Canadian wildfires going right now. We're getting another new little HEPA filter for the house, keep things fresh in here. And like, we couldn't tell the size of this thing based on the pictures. So we watched the video and it's like, oh yeah, okay. Makes more sense. Feel better about the purchase. Click buy, on the way. There we go.
Yeah, it goes right back to that 90% thing that you've got up there, that consumers claim that they were influenced by a brand's video.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going to have that stat in there.
No, yeah.
That's it exactly.
I borrowed that from your site too.
Yeah, thanks.
Like this background, I guess. No, the customer side
and the video.
Yes. The customer testimonial piece as well. Like that when I was watching the ones, and you had this great portfolio on your site too. So I enjoyed looking at the ones from Golden Rule, of course, since it's it's our boss's shop, right? And his customers being on there, telling the story of what they appreciated. I just thought it was endearing. Like some of these super, super sweet people. It was just an immediate impression that I have of that. It's like, I like those kind of people. I'm that kind of person. I would like it here too. It's immediate.
Well, and you notice, like the ones that Golden Rule has and many of the other shops that I've worked with, they're honest, and they're authentic. And that's the two big things. It's authentic content. It's not, any way you can get a customer testimonial is, one step better than none at all. Correct?
Sure.
But a customer testimonial where it's an interview style just goes so much further, because, they're not like, talking to the screen and going, I love this place. I've been coming here for years. You should also.
Yes. We've seen bad examples of customer testimonials, haven't we?
Right.
Yeah.
But, if they're just going, telling the story about, oh yeah, I've been coming here for 35 years. I mean, a great example at a shop that I was at in Texas. This older gentleman comes cruising in his daily driver, which happened to be a 52 Skyhawk. And he gets out and he comes inside, and his wife comes in to pick him up in her daily driver that was a 57 Bel Air. They both looked immaculate. They were both former teachers at Texas A&M. And they plopped down and they started telling their story about how they've been coming there for years. They came there when the shop was owned by the guy's dad, and they wouldn't go anywhere else, and told this amazing story about how they met and went on, and just it was just a great story. I mean, obviously not all of that was for that shop.
Sure.
People love to tell their stories, and
they do.
And it's just fabulous to hear.
Yeah, no, the people do. They love telling their stories. A lot of people might be uncomfortable being put in front of a camera, but everyone still loves telling their story to some capacity. I mean, this is Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People 101 stuff. The main key to influence is getting people to talk about themselves. And what ends up happening is it does better things for you when they do that. And they feel better about you as well. They feel listened to, they feel valued, and just the testimonial helping other people is one thing, but that customer having done that testimonial too, solidified as your client. Like that's like top tier client. Reward them. It's beautiful.
Yeah, there is, I mentioned earlier about the whole thing about when people are doing storytelling, what happens. There's a two-part process. There's a physical part in your brain and a chemical part in your brain. The physical part is, this piece of your brain that normally filters out noise, recognizes that it's a story, and then it goes, all right, that's a story. So I'll wake up the other part of my brain that normally turns on that filter and says, hey, no, this is a real thing. Come in, listen. So then the rest of your brain kind of wakes up, and then they start producing chemicals like oxytocin, the empathy drug.
One of those. Not a brain scientist.
Yeah, but so that's what then gives you, lets you lean in and you start to create this relationship with people. So when people are telling their story, it makes you kind of think, well, I like them, and I think I know them, and whatever it is that they're talking about, I want some of it also. Yeah, and that's where the buying influence comes into place.
Absolutely. Well, then it goes into the broader picture of things too, because this is all a part of the brand after all. That's part of the brand. I know it's effective on video because I grew up in my shop. We had cable TV ads while I was in school still. Our shop was heavy on cable. And boy, that created a lightning rod for pick on those O'Neill's kids because, oh, it's O'Neill's transmission. Look, hey, I saw you on TV the other day. And says, yeah, didn't know we were still advertising on the Cartoon Network. Right. But it's like it is out there all the time, and people recognize and they see that, and then they recognize you as a result, and it's just wow. But branding, telling your story, how do you do it with video for just the brand image outside of even the customer testimonial? What's this about?
Sure. Yeah, branding is a big deal, and going back to what we were talking about visiting shops. And I'll say this, folks. I mean, we're here talking about auto shops, but it's true of any industry, but particularly auto shops. And there's a quote from Mark Twain that goes something like, I do not pretend to know how to tell a great story, but I do know how a good story ought to be told. And that's because I've been in the close relationship with the best storytellers for years, and I think that is definitely tends to be shop owners. I found after touring around from shop to shop, the great shops have a great story, and it's amazing how you can tell the difference between a shop just by listening to them. The problem is that most shop owners don't have the time anymore to sit there at the front desk and tell that story every time.
Right? No, not every day, not every customer. No, certainly not. The occasional shuttle rides, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And the more successful you become, the less opportunity you have to do that. But in our industry, you are the brand. So when it comes down to telling your story, you're telling the brand story. So especially if your name's on the door, if it's Joe's Auto and you're Joe, then that's very key. So there's what goes into it a lot is showcasing your values and your company culture, and that's your brand. I mean, a lot of people go back and say, well, your brand is your logo, but it's not necessarily. I mean, that's some of it, certainly. And
right
in a storytelling video, the business owner talking about how they got into the business, how they interact with their community, their team getting involved and talking about, I wouldn't work anywhere else. Mike, the shop owner, he gave me a shot right out of tech school, and I didn't have any money. I didn't really know what I was doing. He gave me my first set of starter tools. And, now I've been here for 15 years. I'm a master tech. He sends me all the training. We go to Vision, we go to ASTE, and I love it. And I wouldn't work anywhere else. Boy, you got to come here too. And, talk about the customers too. They're telling the story about how they love it. And, I see them out. That's the funny thing too. Customers always talk about how, not so much the shop end of it, but that they see the guy out in the real world and that they interact with them as members of the community and not so much as a business owner. And typically the best types of branding stories are like that. I found that the best branding stories, the business owner isn't talking about the services that they provide, but how they interact with their community and how they focus on their team and how they focus on customer relationships. And, let's face it, we're not really in the car fix-it business. We're in the customer relationship business and just happen to fix broken cars.
Oh, you get it.
That's really what brand storytelling is all about, and really showcasing that. And there's something else to it too. And I'm going to skip past the next one here. The documentary is part of it. With video, that whole saying that a picture tells 1,000 words. Forbes did this whole research project, and I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but they ended up with, they did the whole correlation between a picture tells 1,000 words, and they figured out that a 4-minute video tells something like 82 million words or something. So because there's a way to relate so much more information that isn't being said. So for example, in a branding video, when you're not just, it's not just a talking head, it's not just one guy sitting there, square in the screen and talking to you. They're relating a story to an interviewer. And while they're relating that story, there's other imagery going on. So for example, I've worked with a lot of Napa Auto Care shops, and there's a bunch that are gold, and they like to talk about the fact that they're a Napa Gold shop because that's really hard to attain. So we'll have the logo float through the screen. You'll see these things, or they talk about their loaner car programs, and so we'll showcase a customer, super happy customer jumping into a loaner car. As they talk about their team, we'll see the happy team, working together and being, more of a family, and their customers, everybody's got smiles, and those are the types of branding stories that really can showcase exactly what it's like to be there. It's clean, without even saying those types of things. You can see for yourself. Consumers are not likely to want to go to a place where they have to change their shoes when they leave, or
no. Yeah,
that was oil into their car, right?
This is a frustrating thing for us. We had a very clean transmission shop, but even on our dirtiest days where it feels awful to us at this point, people would walk in and say, wow, this is so clean. And we're thinking, where have you been?
Yeah.
Awful. But no, this documentary element is interesting. My grandpa was teed into this. I swear it's a very early page because we were paying cable TV ads to do a very similar type of a thing for a long time, telling the story about 3 generations, actually a 4th generation mechanic in my family. My great grandpa was wrenching on things too. And that people just loved it. It was a key ingredient into what drove what people into our doors with almost immediate trust that we had as soon as we're dealing with them as an accountant. Like, oh, you're one of the O'Neills. Great. Oh, we love you guys. We've heard great things. All this stuff. It's like, this was a wonderful thing to walk into for a family business. As the younger generation, they've done such a good job telling the story. It was a easy entrance into overcoming some of the stigmas in the industry, at least. But I think I know firsthand how positive that can be. But let me ask this for you, Patrick. You must meet people from time to time that are sort of struggling with, what if no one wants to hear my story type of comment? What do you tell them?
That's funny. So that happens daily when I'm out working with people, and the people who don't want to tell their story or don't want to go on camera usually have the best story. I don't know why, but it seems to be that way. So every single time when, I don't really have much to say, they'll say that and then just keep right on talking. It's like, I don't have much to say, but there's one time. And that's a little bit of why, that's why I do what I do. I find that I love just interacting with people and hearing their stories. And I just go about it from the point of view of, let me see, what's your story? Right. That's the way I approach it. I don't sit down with people and, a lot of times I'll go out and people say, what are you going to ask me? Give me a list of questions. Like, well, I don't know yet. I haven't heard your story yet, so I don't know what to ask next. It's a little bit like 60 Minutes, right? Yeah. Oh, you just said you were in jail last week? Let's hear more.
Absolutely, that one. Yes. No, but this is interesting because, does that story change though? Because you have multiple purposes for videos. You have obviously the branding for the client consumption, but now obviously you're acutely aware of the staffing troubles in this industry, every trade right now, truly. Right. So does the message change a lot for the recruiting side, or is that really similar?
It's a little bit of both, and I'll tell you a little bit of the secret sauce behind it. When purposing videos for different roles, it's the same interview. It's just and again, hats off to my editor, because a lot of that is what you take from that story and then how you direct it towards the particular audience. But the recruiting side of things, I've always found that, yes, customers are interested in the story of your shop, and they're interested in the longevity of the shop, and they're interested in the other customers talking about how much they love it. But the best way to recruit someone to any business is through word of mouth, right? So wouldn't you love to have all of your team running around every day and telling all their friends who happen to be in the same industry that they love working there, tell them all about it, and they should work there too. The problem is that most people, won't do that, You know, they don't want to talk so much about their job after work unless they're complaining about something, and they don't want that either. And, you know, it's not their job, and they're not always necessarily good at it. So, but this is funny. I mentioned going back to the many thousands of shops that I've been to, and talking to as many of the technicians, usually all of them. I started asking, especially the new guys, you know, the ones who have just started working there, or, may have been looking around or whatever.
Why the new guy?
Because I asked them, what did you look for when you got here?
Bingo.
So
it's nice.
How did you come to this shop? And I literally talked to one last week, and I asked the same question every time. What I'm asking them about what it is they like about this place, and it's not things like, again, it goes back to that list of questions. I ask people, what is it about this place that gets you up in the morning and you're like, yeah, I get to go to work, rather than like, oh, yeah, gotta go to work. I get to go to work. So when I hear somebody who's really happy about that place, I ask them, what is it about this place that got you to come here in the first place? What do you look for when you're looking for a job? And the new guy tells me, and this just happened last week. Well, I look at the shop, and especially younger types, because they don't want to talk to people. They don't want to walk in the shop and actually, look like they're looking around. So they'll stalk you online. So they want to they'll look at the website, see if they can find out the story about the shop, same type of things that a customer does. And this hadn't occurred to me. They want to hear the reviews of the customers, just like customers do. They want to know if people like them. They certainly don't want to go work for a business that people don't like. And if they read reviews that mention that, they're ripping them off, or they're charging too much money, or whatever the complaints are, they want to hear the customers are happy.
That is spot on.
They also want to hear a little bit of the both. And they want to hear the story about the shop because they want to know, well, you've been around for a while. It looks like you're going to be around for a while longer. So that may mean I want to go build a career there, instead of, hopping from shop to shop to shop. A lot of people talk about that rap sheet resume. The guy was at this shop, and he was at that shop, and he was at that shop. Sure. That's because he's looking for the place he wants to land. It's not necessarily because he's a bad hire. It just hasn't found that spot yet.
Yeah.
So
and
I
obviously,
them,
lesson on that, if those guys exist, and we know they do, we want to be the type of shop that has the best thing to look at.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So then again, it goes back to asking them. I literally asked, what is it you're looking for? I want to hear about the shop. I want to hear about the customers, and I want to hear other people in that shop talking about why they love working there, and see the shop. They want to see that it's bright, and then it's clean, and the guy's talking about like, oh, this is great, man. It's not just like a family. It's, it's not that they treat us like family, but they also are worried about my family. So I know that they know that I don't just work, that I have a family at home. And so I have the opportunity to go home when I need to and take time off and make enough money that I can support them, that I don't have to worry about doing another job, right?
Things all generations have worried about, but you struck at some things very Generation Z, millennial generation hot points that, and next month our guest is going to be Sarah Fraser. She's going to be talking about the Bill Haas's daughter. She does a wonderful lecture on specifically millennial and Gen Z stuff. These are the types of guys that we want to be attracting to our business now, regardless of what you think of these generations. They're the young, able-bodied people. They're the ones that are going to be the mainstay in our industry soon. Do you see specifically with those guys, especially, this is connecting with them better than, an ad on Indeed or any of these other things?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point too. Again, like they want to see those three things. They want to see the shop. They want to see the customers. They want to see other people. And people, another Forbes article I read a couple of weeks ago that showed, they did this whole study, and they showed that people were 800 times more likely to watch a 30-second video than they were to read one sentence that was the exact same content. The video was actually somebody reading that content. And they did it with one of those things where they, watch your eyes, where you're going, watch your mouth click. And 800 times more likely just went right to the video than read the single sentence about that same data.
I am the total opposite. And this is why I cannot trust my judgment on why stuff like this is important. I need to pay attention to those sort of facts. Yeah.
Exactly. So, it's the up and coming generation that is videos everywhere. Scroll all day long.
I told people when I was talking to our class at Phoenix, we saw you at Phoenix very recently in the show. And this was the thing. It was like, this is what my kids do. And it's just constant. And the big mistake I made was the one piece of social like media that I allowed them to do was YouTube, which turns out is probably the most. Yeah. No, fortunately, to my knowledge, which I do check, no TikTok yet. And I'm thankful for that. But man, that's what people are doing these days. And I have not fully reconciled myself to that. And I think a lot of shop owners are probably still more traditionalists like that. I'm almost 40, elder millennial, definitely more aligned with Gen X and boomers than a lot of people that came after me. But golly, video, for me, it slows me down. I can read faster, but that's my prejudice in this matter, which doesn't belong in this kind of a discussion. If we're going to make these decisions for our shop, is I feel it's what you're hitting at with great facts and data, by the way, Patrick, you're a wealth of knowledge on this subject. I think that this is hitting that point home that if we're not doing this now, it's absolutely kind of too late already, but not too late to start. But you got some catching up to do, because that's where we've got to get to very quickly to stay competitive.
Well, like you say, it's if you're not doing it already, somebody else is. That's the thing. So, and especially for recruiting, it's hardcore competition. You want somebody to click on your Indeed resume or your Indeed post instead of the other guy. And this is really kind of crucial, because there's 60,000 job postings in just LinkedIn alone for automotive technician in the US. Go into LinkedIn and just type in, automotive technician in your town. And there's, easily 700-800. And there aren't that many guys out there looking. No. And the thing is, everyone's been told, and I've even heard a few coaches telling people, make sure that your job post has these things in it. You got to have, talk about your 401k, talk about your great pay and your time, your other benefits. How long do you work there? What are your days? What are the great benefits you get? Well, you all have the same thing. I mean, every good shop out there now has the exact same benefits.
We've all read it. You don't even need to. It's like noise at this point to have those sort of things. Yeah.
And then most shop owners will have one web page that says it's got a form. It might have a few things about it. And that's where people are really going when they're interested about your shop and whether or not they want to work there. So that video then is what pushes them over the edge. It's the kind of thing that now I can see and hear what's really going on out there. You know, and if they sit there and they listen to that stuff and go like, yeah, that's where I want to work. I mean, you've got the same benefits, but I can see that, the thing that they're looking for, the key thing they're looking for is, will I fit in? That's it mainly. I mean, you've got great pay. I was the
kind of guy I wanted to help them make sure that I was that place by getting them to give me a call. But what you've cited earlier too, I think was really poignant to this. These things live up there all the time for them to consume and get that same sentiment.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It's gold. That is gold. Now, I think that's pretty clear. Like, this is absolutely something we should be looking at. Now, how are we going to do it? Let's get mechanical. Let's get a little technical. This is probably an area where you could geek out forever. Because you're a discerning eye. You're probably always looking at new technology. And I bet sometimes you see video that's like, this could have been better like this and that and that and this and that, this and that. But
as you can tell, when I sit down to shoot any type of video, I just usually do it pretty ad hoc. I don't do it.
Oh, yeah. Nothing special going on in there. I've seen your equipment. It is impressive. The cases themselves and how you secure it all. But like a lot of people just looking to get started probably are whipping out one of these and doing some stuff. Is that taboo? Is this a no-no in your book, or is it an entry-level point that, hey, go ahead, start?
There is plenty of room. I've always said, if sure, I'd love you to come work with me and do it. And
of course,
I think that if you're interested in showcasing your brand and you want to showcase how professional you are, you should use professionally produced video to do so.
Yeah.
I mean, like Napa, for example, they have a professional image, and any Napa Auto Care has Napa Pro, and the types of things that you do to make sure that your image and your brand is professionally shown. You should go that extra step to actually showcase it through your video as well too.
Would you feel poor quality is damaging? Let me ask it that direction. Do you feel poor quality in an intense field of competition that it could actually hurt your message?
Well, let's talk about what do you mean by quality. So you've got a couple things here on this slide. You've got video and audio. Yeah. So I would rather watch a really poor, fuzzy video with great audio.
Yes.
And that's really what it is. It comes down to a lot of that. You could shoot a really great video and have poor audio and people would just turn it off. I mean, people cannot listen to a video that sounds terrible. So that's it, right? I mean, that's the thing right away. And that, like we're both here, we got our fancy mics and
super fancy.
Mine costs $30. I don't know, right?
Yeah. Blue Yeti. It gets the job done.
Yeah, exactly. But there is again, it goes back to how do you want to showcase your brand? Do you want to show your professional image, or do you not? Yeah. But I keep coming back to the phone. I mean, the new iPhone has amazing quality, and truth be told, I do use an iPhone when I shoot a lot of B-roll stuff. It does, I don't use it like this. It lives inside of a housing that has a stabilizer and all that kind of
probably a
stuff.
Gimbal and everything, right?
It's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. Let me grab it.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting because, like, this is the stuff I geek out on too. Like, this is actually tons of fun. Don't go down the rabbit hole, people, buying your own stuff because it never ends. By the way,
no, that's Gimbal. True. And I got this is my third one, and it's fabulous. This thing caught this rig you're looking at here is about, I don't know. There's probably about 10 grand worth of stuff in my hand.
How many axes are on that?
3.
Yeah.
And but whatever. It's
incredible.
There's a lot of equipment involved, but again, it does come down to editing as well too, because I've seen people shoot a lot of great video and then not necessarily edit it great either, and that's hard. Editing is hard, and
well, video's forgiving though too, because of the editing process. Here we're doing a live video and we'll give it to our editor and he'll do some post stuff, but it isn't going to trim out words and do anything funny. Like, it's just to make it look in a presentable format. And that's what we do. But you hear stories all the time, and probably for some people who need to check out our Toastmasters Club on public speaking on occasion, they don't necessarily speak effectively, and it takes them a while to get to the point that they're trying to make. And that probably does result in lots of cuts, but since you have that forgiveness, you can just roll and keep going. That's great. Exactly. Yeah. But good quality to capture that stuff in a live environment is also the challenge too, especially in an auto repair shop. Your filters on audio must be incredible.
Well, I mean, it's not so much filters, but it's just, again, the quality of recording. I mean, I use some smaller microphones, use things by DJI, I use Sennheiser mics, all the different types of things. You want to get the audio as close to the person as possible. When shooting in a shop, you want it to be an actual shop. I mean, like your backdrop is a great backdrop, and I use that for doing video interviews. But when we shoot in a shop, you want the natural environment to come across. You want to see technicians in their natural environment. It's like shooting a Mutual of Omaha video. Like, oh, look up ahead, there's a technician.
But wait, you're not shutting down the shop to do these recordings?
No, they're all live, and it's challenging sometimes to deal with things coming and going, and the sounds, lifts going up tend to be the hardest thing to cover. But it's important to show that natural environment as well too, especially the customers. If a customer is looking at a customer testimonial of another customer, they want to see that they're actually in the shop.
For sure.
They want to see that the shop owner is in his shop. I mean, that's key too. Often I'll see shop owners use a backdrop, or, that's obviously green screen, or it's in a completely closed down shop that's immaculate. Let's face it. I mean,
they need more customers.
Yeah, you want to clean up your shop a little bit. You don't want to have an engine core laying on the ground right behind you.
It needs to look like it's worked in too. Yeah.
So there's a lot to it. And
how much time goes into a video? Like just a good, decent documentary brand type video. What sort of time commitment are you seeing in each segment, the actual recording and the post edits?
Sure. Let's take a one video example. I mean, when I go to a shop, I spend an entire day there. So 7 hours of recording in and around the shop, drone, a lot of background stuff. And from that, we'll produce a 4-minute video. Awesome. And to do that is 40 hours of editing.
Wow.
So, think of, we all talk about labor hours, right?
Yep. We know that
40 hours of labor goes into a 4-minute video. So
that's incredible.
Sure.
At a professional level, that's actually quite intense. I don't think a lot of people realize that, especially in post edits. One thing that we get the question immediately for the recording, we could put the Zoom recording out in its raw format every time for our webinar guests, which we don't do because we want it to be a good final product if it's going to live out there. It's similar quality concerns that you have, right? So it's several days typically before our post edits are completed on that. And that's just for a simple, and what I'm going to go ahead and call even on this one, pretty clean cut.
Yeah. So far.
Yeah.
Nothing crashed yet.
Nope. Absolutely.
You'd be amazed at some of the things I see in shops though, so, things that don't make the cut for
fortunately, this audience probably wouldn't be that surprised.
Right.
And folks, please, if you have any questions for Patrick, go ahead and type those in here. We'll get to some Q&A here in a moment. We're always happy to hear those things. I know that video can be one of those topics where, due to our nature as tech savvy people of the world today, we feel like we have a good grasp on this stuff. But I'll tell you personally, the training videos even that I make for Autoflow, they could not possibly make it your way in a professional format unless I had Joe Boyd on our marketing team. He is the man, and he does such a wonderful job of making us look good. So
I hear you.
It's such a big part of the job, and they're never on this side of the camera. Those guys who are really doing that, it's incredible. But if you're trying to do this on your own, just be aware of that. Like, to do this extremely well does take a significant investment of at least your time. But that's where we have professionals like this that we introduce for a very good reason.
Like I said, I'm sure I'd love you to work with me, but whether it's me or someone else, I suggest you have a professional shoot your video for you.
Patrick, I think your wisdom is clear. Yeah, it's a sound message for this industry to be paying attention to. It's a solution to some of our problems.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the great example that I like to relate to people sometimes too is doing it yourself is like the guy that comes into your shop and goes like, "Hey, I've got this friend and he knows how to work on cars, and he just saw this thing on YouTube that says I need this part. Can you install it for me?"
Has anyone ever come with a Dropbox folder of raw video for you to post edit?
Yes.
I guess that would be the equivalent to this analogy.
Well, that's yeah. Well, those are okay. We'll still do the edits for you, but it's unfortunate. I think sometimes, and like I said, any video is better than none for sure. But
it's a key takeaway here.
Yeah. And that's just, me talking video, but there are some that just that one extra step could have made it fabulous. You're 10 feet away from if I'm standing back here, you can't hear me so great. Right. You're 10 feet away from your microphone. You got a lot of background noise. You're just a head on shot. That's all you're doing. There's a lot to it that makes it interesting. And that's what you really want. I mean, that's the whole point of video. It's not, it's a marketing tool for sure. And you want to attract people and keep them engaged. And
speaking of engagement, I've got a question here, and it's about use of humor. What's your take on this? Have you had any shops ask you to, like, hey, we want to do a video, we want to tell our story, but we want it to be funny? What do you do with that?
That comes across naturally. So the ones that try to be funny aren't. The ones that are already, I mean, most shops I go to have a great time. I always see, because I'm there for the entire day, there's people interacting with each other. People are always having a good time, and you'll always see people smiling and joking around together. I mean, the great example was Chris's shop at Golden Rule. One of his guys was talking about how, I asked him, what are some of the great benefits here? And he goes, we get hugs. And Chris tackled him and gave him a big hug. So
sounds right. Sounds right. Man, I hate being the remote part of that team. Doggone it.
So that comes across. It's people try and use humor, but again, that goes into the editing process.
Yeah. So let it come out naturally is what I'm reading between the lines. The ones that try too hard, maybe not so great. So lay off the puns, Craig, type of a thing, you think maybe, or type of
yeah. If you're a funny guy, then you're a funny guy, and that'll come across, it's again, this needs to be authentic. This is a cool thing that a side benefit of my getting to work with the Google product managers for a little while, and this was a lot of fun. They told me that although obviously they're not going to share the algorithm with anybody, they did say that the goal of the algorithm is, and always has been, to feature content or feature websites that produce content that is authentic in nature and targeted at providing information and educational information that is relevant to the audience that they're targeted at. And that's a mouthful. It's basically like, if you're a bowling website, you should have stuff that's interesting for bowlers,
right?
That's authentic
and beneficial.
And what's more authentic than a video? I mean, somebody telling their story, that's about as authentic as it gets.
I guess we'll see how well that algorithm holds up, because AI is learning probably from these sort of things these days, and we'll see what kind of relevance is out there, right?
Google's already pretty smart about that. They can tell pretty quick. That's the thing, all of your marketing companies, and, none are doing a bad job of it, but you're doing what you're doing. You're trying to create SEO content, optimized content so that the spiders will pick it up. And Google recognizes that people are doing that. And that's why they keep changing the algorithm, because they figured out that we're featuring those things, tweak it a little bit. Whereas a video is a video, and it's video content. Although there are some ways to game it, they do recognize that authentic stories from real people is, if it's interesting and engaging, then 2 thumbs up. And they do that too. I've seen some amazing SEO results by featuring video on your website. Recruiting, especially, do something like do a search, for any town. Automotive technician jobs or automotive technician careers in, Albuquerque, New Mexico, for example. Sure, the search list is gigantic. You're never going to get your shop's job posting in there, because you got Indeed and LinkedIn and ZipRecruiter and everybody else to contend with before yours is, 500 pages down. But go over and click on that videos tab. And if you've got a video on your careers page, boom, you're going to be right at the top. And it's an amazing SEO benefit.
Let me ask this. Have you seen any detriment yet to videos being valuable due to fears of like deep fakes or any of those things? Is video losing any trust element in that world yet? Or is it still too early for that to be a recognizable problem?
Trust from the customer point of view, or trust from
period in video, right? Like you hear about this sometimes, right? Deep fake type of a thing. Like if pictures and videos can't be trusted in the future, that would be very concerning to me.
Yeah, there are. I actually use an AI tool that I can take my video and the transcript and feed it into it, And let's say you said a word wrong, I can change it. It actually does change the video to make it look like you said the word correctly, which is kind of creepy.
That's really cool.
Yeah, unless you edit by text.
Yeah. Does it make puns funny too, or no?
It makes you look funny.
No, that's neat. There's going to be some exciting technology shifts I can see on this over the years. Absolutely. And we'll continue to watch this. Patrick, I want to thank you again. This has been a really insightful conversation. I love your tone.
Our hour has come and gone. Wow.
It is incredible. And I swear we just probably talked for an hour or two when we were at Phoenix before the trade show started. And it's like, oh man, we got to save some of this for the webinar. And wow, no, you still brought some incredible insight into this matter. So I want to thank you again for spending your time here, being an awesome Irishman, and just giving us this knowledge. So any questions that do come for Patrick, you see his email right here. I do encourage you to reach out. I've known Patrick as long as I've been around in this industry. He's been around and just constantly impressing me. This isn't our first time being able to collaborate in a conversation on various topics. Obviously, wealth of knowledge gets our industry. So please don't be shy in reaching out to him. And please reach out to us if you have any questions about how you can leverage the videos you produce inside of Autoflow. There is a number of awesome strategies that we can do to get those videos in the customer's hands very automatically in ways even beyond what you can do on your general website to drive engagement. So be aware of that. Patrick, any final words you want to part with for our audience today?
Well, again, thanks, Craig, for inviting me. And yeah, if you're interested in finding out more, give me an email. There's Trish from Gustafson Brothers, and I was just down there last week, in fact. And feel free to reach out to me at sparkinteractive.com. And with Autoflow, amazing ability to send out videos for things like service reminders or throughout the process. We're now working on your car from the service advisors themselves. Instead of just a text, you can get a message from your service advisor telling them they're working on your car.
You know it.
Great stuff.
And you've been involved in digital processes for a while, all over the place. So I'm very thankful that our paths crossed and we could do this together. Patrick, thanks again for being here. And yes, to answer the questions in the audience, we will have this post-edited and then delivered to you in professional format. And so don't worry if you missed some of this conversation. Thanks everyone for joining us. We will see you next time. Have a great 4th of July.
Thanks a lot. So long, everyone.
See you now. Bye-bye.